Abuchafo, what the Chechia Munina, ACSF t shirt, no, I at so the amamo. Makaka crabby, akaka crab, say, ye free outside. Moana Munimo, a free US. Tidane born was rockakra, who did know, nay 200 Ghana. Akaba 20 pet, so the amamo. I see a 120 Ghana, Auntie Brana Bejodi. Why, sounds on a t shirt, no. Aka black t shirt, and aka black and qua, and also akaba 10. And near on 120 Ghana. But Sisiano, yet the must 70 city. So, Jawodie. Adwena anya adwuma body ne bre. Thank you for making us number one. Bye bye.
We are you two. Me ko third one. Third one dey monhwe ne yie pa. Why? Obebo wo nsem sisi a. Why not say you lack understanding? 10 priest. 10 priest send request na brass na betchim kan. Me pede de wa how. Hi. Book ben, the name of book ben. The betchim ba konso. Monhwe ade a we. Monhwe ade. Ba chaw. Monhwe say Bible verse we a prophecy and anya prophecy. Na monhwe say e hwan ho asem. Why? HOSEA chapter 11 verse 1 and 2. Monhwe say e nkomhye. Interlinear Bible. Interlinear Bible. Why? Interlinear Bible. Why? Uko Methodist bookshop abenye biato. Why? Me to bi ache. Me to me de be 15 years ago. Hey, Dabio. Be 12 to 10 years ago na me to me de but insuo kra bo na natete. Na Benya no we phone so. Why? Ubo Bible verse na bo Hebrew a. Ebeba. Why? Any. The ba chaw monhwe. What is a prophecy? Me ndi kansia de. Ba mchaw. What is a prophecy? Ye wade mienu. Ye wo prophecy and ye wo revelation. Ma mention prophecy mu. A prophecy is a prediction of the future. Prophecy. A prediction of the future. Ghana beko World Cup. Dachi asem. Ena ye wo de me ka ade a esi wo past ya eno nya prophecy. Me ka se wo ewrade abie mani na ewrade a kire me se ebre bi na what be kwai eno nya prophecy. Eno ye revelation. Enti ye ka wo past ya asem a ye revelation. Ye ka wo future asem a ye prophecy. Ene ye wo normal one a ye normal kasa. What? Okay. Nti monhwe say we a prophecy and I say a day a normal asema a day. Why? The Lord says, when Israel was a child, I loved him and called him out of Egypt as my son. But the more I called him, the more he turned away from me. My people sacrificed to Baal. They burnt incense to idols. The Lord says, when Israel was a child, I loved him and called him out of Egypt as my son. Why? Verse you can answer. Why answer? Mon comment. Bacha why answer? Yes, yanko. School na mwabano. Why answer na Bible ne kan? Why answer? Let's go. Why one seven down Israel? Akwesi. Ade Joseph see Israel. Yes, yanko. Yes, why one seven? There be Jacob, Israel, Jacob as a person, Jacob as or my Israel, Moses, there be Israel. Israel was and a dagono. The Lord says, when Israel was a child, I loved him and called him out of Egypt as my son. Jacob, Nyankopon ko name free Egypt. Israel for and Nyankopon ko yum free Egypt. Into way a metaphoric or the Israel a personification. A personification of the nation of Israel. Remember, I was saying, school where your personification. Why ye Israel to say nipa? And all friends say when Israel was a child, Ebreben and Israel or a child, Ebra Israel for call and Kwasum Egypt no way to say abofra. I loved him. Sabrina Yankopon say what do Israel. And until no small Moses say Moses enquire Israel and of friend ba Egypt, a free Egypt, and called him my son. Inti of Israel say Israel and a babema. Anamebwa. Or say, but the more I called him, also friending him, because the more he turned away from me. Once what done my people, also what done people. My people sacrificed to Baal and burnt incense. Israel for a besom bosom any idea. The pacho I clear after another verse. I actually say, well, my son say Israel and the son and unsuni. Well, Israel and the son in the Exodus 4:21 and 22. The Bible says, again, the Lord said to Moses, now that you are going back to Egypt, be sure to perform before the king all the miracles which I have given you the power to do. But I will make the king stubborn and he will not let my people go. Then you must tell him that I, the Lord, says, Israel is my firstborn son. Israel is my firstborn son. Bacho, Israel. Nyankopon friends so ye ne ba no nye ne ba. Oso ye ne son. Inti ne son ne sha e wo Exodus. Yenko back to Hosea no. Afi obeti Hosea na se yi. Na wa hwa de eni. Wow, afi Hosea. The Lord says, when Israel was a child, I loved him and called him out of Egypt as my son. Enye son na sha no. Enti bacho verse ni akan no. Eye hwan wasem. Eye prophecy. Is it a prophecy? Verse mienu ayakan eye enkomhye ay was so before failing. Is it a prophecy? Yes or no? Yanko. Is it a prophecy? Yes or no? Yes, your class yanko abana you ready. Is it a prophecy? No. Bob Santos see no. Yes, let's go. No, it's not a prophecy. No, it's not a prophecy. No, it's not a prophecy. Play Africa see no. Al Mensa say no. Daniel Mintasi no. Eliyahu will say yes. Eliyahu, I don't hear prophecy. Eliyahu, I did the way I'm coming. Nana King say no. DJ Danny say no. Frempong say no. And you know, and your prophecy, and your commission. The Lord says, when Israel was past tense, was a child, I loved him and called him out of Egypt as my son. Well, the New Testament be. You see, New Testament writers say, Shadi Ombe, hey, meba. Oh, assemble cre ni Ghana for, Oh, adia me deleting and de, hear me. Oh. Meba. Omo ya adia bi, ebe kire mo. Aneme mobo. Omudi aye mo pa. Called him out of Egypt as my son. Metaphoric and as a personification. The way we go for we are chrome for papa. So the asema be we asi o. Hosea, and then Matthew. When we are Matthew, when chrono Matthew be sisi a panyai biye abe edit. Onhwa abro Matthew, the writer of Matthew or ye kronfo papa the otro Matthew. The otro the book of Matthew. Me say kromfo kind. Okay. Monjade. Mose America saying America. Ebacho called him out of Egypt as my son. HOSEA say called him out of Egypt as my son. Nature say neba to say neba watch him na wono. And no metaphoric and a personification. But okay say I called my son out of Egypt. Bebacho called him out of Egypt as my son. And I called my son out of Egypt. Moshe, share the Matthew Baye. Before that, before I called the Matthew Baye, no, Bepacho, HOSEA na ye kenkan no, eye prophecy, and enya prophecy, and ameboa. Excellent. Any HOSEA no, ewe hen. HOSEA, eba. Jumana mafato me HOSEA nyankole juma o asembe nkra ni. Obi ba me hwe mo abo me brand ma beto say mebie nkrofo ani. Oh, aha. Any HOSEA 11:1 no. HOSEA na nka say I called my son out of Egypt. Wan kasa. HOSEA nkasa. HOSEA say when Israel was a child I loved him and called him out of Egypt as my son. Called him out of Egypt as my son. Wan kasa I called my son out of Egypt. Monhwe de Matthew be. Matthew babe ko 2 verse we hwade obey or the be Jesus. What we say? Degraft. Okay, degraft. Was say degraft aba degraft I in the atom. Why? Anti mem block why? Mem block but ube di mute. Why? Want to be commenting forever. Why? To wait the mute. On comment what have you. Okay, and then live and I want to be commenting. Why? Me mute you because what by no diatem. How by me diatem. Me chere kwan yo mo fa so create New Testament. Ro buy wo si magimi. Enti Jimmy na wo si magimi enti no. Me ntumi ye wo bi because won Jimmy. Enti me mute you. E wo live we so. Me bad the next live abetumi a comment. Dienti amam block wo no. Bebre sa no mo ye and the omo atemase. And then e bia wa adwene nya adwuma. Wa kine bi adwene be ye adwuma na still we di mechi. Why? Ti enne no wa adwene nya adwuma. Enti me mute you. Obaye na catch me say Avram it is not true. Let me come and explain. Na wa send a request. Na ma pick you. Na wa ba na wa brechirem. Ba obaye wo si magimi. Minjimi. So wo eye wumom e na wa adwene e wo form. Why? Thank you. And that's it. Ti ento aso. Ebusua ye nyina ye be kan. Mo hwade. O ye story me catch us a New Testament writers no. Omo tro story. No omo tro story ya. To convince you no. On person mo kire wo say story no mo kan e Old Testament into mo kofa Old Testament verse ya no mo distort no ma membra back say the buy mo beti ase no ma membra back biom on di wa mi we obi anye bi wa so ne biada Exodus 4 verse 21-22 or say Israel is my firstborn son Israel and Nyankopon frɛ ne say ne son e wa ha afi ye ba HOSEA na da kono enyen komhye na Jesus abefofele wanka say ebre bi beba wanka say a time will come I will call my son out of Egypt wanka sa me ba chaw am I making sense? Okay COTV okay mate mami follow na inbox me na COTV me follow me back na follow number mami na yen chat na membra interview no why me pa chaw monhwe we enye prophecy enye nkomhye wanka say a time is coming I will call my son out of Egypt and kebecha say a prophecy we say we cry a past or say the Lord says when Israel was a child was past tense a child I loved past tense I loved him and called past tense, called him out of Egypt as my son. But the more I called, past, as I see past, and will repeat it. Matthew, because Jesus are for failure same way. Monjadi. Adene ye Israel for past yasem no Matthew, bokro no. Wow, Moshe. Inti, or Chesa Yahu Jesus. Ewo Bethlehem and a fry and a wise man by and a Herod epa kwadane kono nti omo de Jesus ko Egypt nti Jesus e de ko Egypt no hwe krono a Matthew ba bebo menua me say ochene bi obe kai me wate menua nya abotre wate na de me ye me nje collection nje tight me nka se hia mo ba bia wate me nipa metumi ni nyankopon akontokwa na me de ma be wiase me se me ni nyankopon ne wo da bi obi na akope baby ate and we create book omo use 400 years and we New Testament for the Piso family. The books ni be nye ni ba ko na try there be the book of Acts and the part 3 was a 4 and a try me try ya me ba na ba abna ya me pa mo chaw me ba girl na or rapper no wabaso abna supremo abna comment no. Oh, Abna, sorry, say my send no request. Fetch me. Mensa ne mi. Pam chow. Me wi a munko me page wo young girl be or rapping but you munko do a TV video na ma me ne mboa young girl no why. Abna supremo. Abna comment follow me. No mun follow. But you na mun follow me ban man why. Masa obeda okohwe ne rapper obeda ne mboa by way. Why? Yen hwade amati ubeye. Enie. Inti, or say, after they had left, an angel of the Lord appeared in a dream to Joseph and said, Herod will be looking for the child in order to kill him. So get up, take the child and his mother, Jesus and mommy, and escape to Egypt. Jesus story, and I said Jesus got to Egypt, and stay there until I tell you to leave. Joseph got up, took the child and his mother, and left during the night for Egypt, where they stayed until Herod died. Now Herod, Jesus. This was done to make what the Lord has said through the prophet come true. Or say, Jesus na, ya didn't quite na Egypt, no. Jesus na didn't quite na Egypt, no. Eyen komshe na abem. I called my son out of Egypt. Nature say, HOSEA 11:1 no eye Jesus Matthew person kira say eye Jesus ya ye de ne kwata na Egypt ya ye be frɛ no every Egypt enie verse 15 no yen kan bio where they stayed until Herod died. This was done to make what the Lord has said through the prophet come true. One say through the prophet. One more prophet in the day. Onim so bo prophet needing the verse na to hwa. Obekwa akwa check. One so ye kwadwofo. Oni adaje na wakwa check Old Testament. Na when baby ya tro say I called my son out of Egypt. Or the akwa akoma Jesus. Yeah, Roy e bien enum. Roy, he shock you me say me tell for me Bible see ro mercy. Adia me the Bible be ye measure. So Matthew say Jesus are fulfilling. Any oboa me say and what type hey Charlie play Africa or say Africa awake is awakening. I'm telling you. Me say and that me say and that na bury ye. Me na me ka me kyerɛw hwade enni Matthew say wa fulfilling. Awo enni me pa kyerɛw we ɛyɛ nkɔmhyɛ. We HOSEA chapter 11 verse 1 and 2. Ɛyɛ past tense. Ɛyɛ nkɔmhyɛ no bi abe fulfilling. The Lord says the story of Jesus was fabricated. The story of Jesus was fabricated. Jesus bien baby aseda. Jesus bien siya. Jesus bien ni wo. Ane maame. Ne maame nko agina ho na twa. E no Nyankopon be nyem no. Wa wati bi da. Mo Christopher kra oda na spirit bi ne ubeda. Omo nka nche say hunfi. Oba ben ene wakwa asola kwaka say osofo enra nadwo hunhun bi me bedai asofo be ka say we Awurade ye hyira wo be wo Yesu akire ba hun kronkron ka say ya hunhun fi ene ne woda ye dan na mere nko ade o say hun kronkron na we Egypt da na we Egypt ISIS any Horus story. Now Babylon, Samiramis, any Tammuz, the story of Mitra, and Odiabe Mamosano, Pepauchao. Why? When young commission. Why? Hosea 11:1. The Lord says, when Israel was past tense, was a child, I loved him, past tense, and called him out of Egypt as my son. Israel was some. Who told Jesus Christ didn't came to this world? There is judgment after death. We are not talking about judgment after death. Masa, we would say there is judgment after death. What is what we say judgment video? Now, the living is always, the black man is always thinking about when some job. The black man is always thinking about when some job. Bravo papa or bebo. Enyumbria mi pie night club singing yama. Enyumbria mi pie night club singing yama. Enya mo amko asole ya no pe ya na mugu night club. Abrabo kronkron na hia. Ghana ye wo mumu wi fo. Ye wam robesi wa deponia fo. 92% of Ghanaians, 92% of Ghanaians are Muslims and Christians. 8% pe and then Christians and Muslims. Into one and we, one when they are shower, one with cabet. Be a bear, one with cap. Would the bonnet chain will be a and so we am most of Mufis on the best for Tabusia, Matra near Mammy and son, Matra me and son, aha, and she, Mary, Jaffe, wow, peso basso, between abasso, Metre near Mammy and son. Number 1, Jesus equal to Zachariah be Old Testament. Waiting. Which are from what I said, baby, you started money box challenge. Emma nipa bebre SCV sika. Omo kwa sorry, any omo kwa sorry. Dodo na ye ne say ombeje a sorry kwa kakra. Na collection ne tight ne ade no mo de gu money box mu bebre ebenye sika. Yensa ka money box bi wanwaso amazing money box ene da nchen hodo. Na me kire mo say de e use no ene say de save sika. Men kan tell say asole ne jai ko. Obekwa asole yakọ. Na emum se wan fisika nsie antoto ne ma wo ho a osofo ebedi ye jaw. E simple as that. Yen hwe say the money box na tie. Na men kire wo ne bo. Wo hie bia na wa frɛ number na egu ase ko no. Yen hwe ne mbra sisi a. Chebusiafo money box ne wo de battery ebe sha ase kama. After say wo de battery a share wie no. Say ne discussion obe set u pin. It is say vault. It is say ATM machine. Ti o say the obe set u pin number wo pe. Ope say obi a obetumi ebie ne kama say. Ope say o de coins gu mu nso a ye top no. Eho o de coins no ebe fa na o de coins na gu. Ti e boy nyom so kama. Yeah. Ti have different colors. Ti obe hie bia na wa friend number na egu ase no. Number na 05317983334. 05317983334. O frepe on sabeka wodie. Therefore, I'm say said you use box na kwhwe na kama no. Ebre bia ye money box, me aminipa openyini afum. Ye Brian nam no so a Paulina no chekopie US no. Ono so eja abrochirefo omutie money box challenge no. O save kakra ye nhwe ne video no. Why? Na obe hie bia na wafra wo number no. Why? Ya da munyina ase. Bye transport.
Yankasa ye boss. Yankasa ye teacher. Yankasa ye general motivator. Abraham Ben Moshe. Or catcher and say enjoy a sorry call. Now you're starting fast kana ye kwa sorry ye to offering and tithe, offering and tithe. And ye pay to box. Na fast kana in shim. Na box the nya ma na kam pesa me share pumping for about a year. But I think it's starting and since last year June July until I think it's best 8 months in and I'm starting a day way. Enti enne me ba be so because me here sika bi ewo Ghana na mo da project bi awa me because na say Ghana I say near bo cost papa money box challenge na Abraham Ben Moshe catch say yenye no aha and there me so me ba be me die na sika na me call sorry edit to offering title every Sunday bi call sorry edit to title offering no aha me say Sunday me ja sorry call me ja sorry call be 2-3 years me aha enti from last year na me start say me so me so box na we box bi na me pay na me de solid tape tale here tum they see me ba be kan wait Moshe dollars in kwa uti ho wa account mu kwa 500 ni wa account mu wa account bank account 500 ni aso kwa ko he osofo na account sika egu osofo na account enye sika hwe sika
Ante abusia money box no na yade aba no kama wogibia no wagibia mambofra no na nkoda no so esua se de save oto above 2 a ubenya discount wa pese obetu bi na wokoton so akwanya wo ho ubenya mfa so bebre nti wa pese wotu bi no mesra wa number obefre number no ene da wo no why number no eye 054 1798 334 Madam nyina ase adwena anya adwuma body ne bre bye bye transport